And now, Hangar 56 Media presents Spike's Car Radio, a downloadable cars and coffee, hosted by writer, comedian, and automotive enthusiast Spike Ferriston. Now, here's Spike.
Well, hello everybody. How are you doing on this Wednesday? It's already been a crazy Monday for us. I'm sitting here with Jonny Lieberman.
Hello.
Zuckerman has already bailed on us.
Coward.
I don't want to read your comments that Zuckerman's not in the show again. He bailed. He's having a tough morning.
Yeah.
We were going to go record down at his place, and the wind knocked out the Wi-Fi. And if you have a Wi-Fi connected garage door and alarm system, well, like he does, you can't get in. And when I called him, the swears, the profanity just rolling off his tongue into my ear. And I offered to go to the Santa Monica airport. And he said, I can't do it. I got it. Just like that, and just slammed the phone down.
I would just like to point out that I was there
Jonny
on time,
Lieberman.
and Spike was there, and he was not even there, and he still didn't show up.
Yeah, but then I forgot the show. I forgot all of my notes. I forgot all of the ads. So Johnny followed me in the old series. You know, it's so funny. This morning I said to my son Jack, I'm like, hey, I have the Zagato downstairs. I go, should we daily that this week? Because I always ask the kids, because I have to shuttle them to places. They go, yeah, let's keep that. So I said, all right. Then all I have to do is take that Series 2A down to Zuckerman. It's not such a bad drive.
Right.
Didn't want to put the seatbelt on, had a cup of coffee. It was challenging, but it was on the 405 doing about 60. I'm like, this is all right. This is a good way. Happy. And then I ended up having to drive it to 4 or 5 different places, and now back to where I started. Anyway, here we are at my home.
That's right. We're in Spike's bedroom.
Yeah, if you've ever...
cozy.
No, we're not there. We're above... This is my writing room, above the garage at my house in Brentwood. You hear the horn? That's the food truck.
That's the food truck for the
construction workers in the neighborhood.
I see.
The whole neighborhood's under construction.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it's very nice.
And it's cozy
I'm
up
jealous.
here.
I was saying I write at the kitchen table, but this is good.
This is really a hang, right?
Yeah.
You've got exercise equipment.
Yeah.
Nobody has weighed in on the artwork except for me. You see, we've got Johnny Cash's and Family Guy drawings and Jimi Hendrix's.
And Belushi and Aykroyd. It's good.
Yeah, that's an original right up there. That is one of the original art cards from the first season of Saturday Night Live. Back before they had Still Store on computers. They would put that card up there. They would go, John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd, and the camera would turn on and they'd shoot that card.
Oh, no kidding.
Isn't that cool?
That's crazy.
And I, back in the day on Saturday Night Live, I had the job of throwing all that stuff away.
Oh, that's horrible.
Audrey Pert Dickman, who was in charge of the production staff, said one day, she said, Skippy! She called me. She could never remember my nickname was Spike. She said, Skippy! Those big dumpsters over there full of graphics, throw them away. Find a way to throw them out. And as I looked in, there were these big laundry hampers, like what you would imagine a hotel laundry hamper was, canvas and on wheels.
Yeah.
And as I looked in, it was...
stuff like that.
The graphic for X-Police, the Chico Escuela baseball card.
Right.
A gold mine of memorabilia.
So you didn't throw any of it away?
I was a kid living in a tiny closet of an apartment in New York, and I had to, it was a Sophie's Choice situation.
Right,
I had to go,
oh, that's
how
horrible.
much of this can I take, even though there's no eBay at this point, but how much of it can I take?
Right? I mean, you got to know.
No, I didn't know it was worth money. It had such personal meaning. Like,
what year is this?
This has to be 86.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, Find the Pope in the Pizza Contest with Dr. Guido Sarducci. These are the jokes I was rolling at when I was a little kid.
Right.
And there's the card, right? Now, I gave that back to Don Novello. That's his name, right?
I believe so.
Yeah.
The early Saturday Night Live.
I called him up and I said, hey, man, I've got this thing. Do you want it? And he said yes. He was living in Canada, so I sent it to him. But they had such great meaning to me. I was just stunned that the stuff was getting thrown out. Now, I have a ton of stuff in storage. I don't know what else is left, but those are, I think, two of my favorite bits of business.
That's pretty good.
I say this now only
no one can see this, but it's a very young Belushi and a very young Aykroyd.
No, if you watch first season of Saturday Night Live, you'll see that shot, and there's the shot.
But I mean, Aykroyd looks like 19 in that picture.
Yeah, he does.
I mean, that's young.
Yeah,
right? That's like,
and he's got the Leno
thin.
denim jacket. I know. Those are the cocaine days.
Yeah.
And Belushi.
79 was the first year?
I guess.
78,
I don't know.
7? I forget.
It was just thrilling to be around any of it.
I told you my wife was an intern on Saturday Night Live in the 90s.
Now, what crew is that?
The Norm Macdonald Celebrity Jeopardy era.
Oh, yeah.
And in fact, her best friend Mary, the famous, like when Norm Macdonald's Burt Reynolds gets the big hat.
Right.
And he's Turd Ferguson. He's like, hey, it's funny because it's bigger than a regular hat.
Yep.
Mary, they were like, go get a big hat. So she had to run around Manhattan and find this hat. So she found the hat.
She and I did the same job.
Yeah,
I did that for graphics.
Yeah.
You had to run around New York and find things like a scavenger hunt.
Yeah.
It was fun. It was so exciting. And there's for me, there was nothing else. No girls, no anything, just this job and the threat of if you don't find a way to make any more money, you are not going to be able to live here in the city.
Right. Well, I lived in New York and I definitely had the money thing, but I wasn't doing Saturday Night Live. So
Yeah.
it was, it's still unbelievable I actually managed to live there, considering I only had to pay like $700 a month, but it was impossible.
That is still expensive. My first apartment was $350 a month.
Where'd you live?
Well, I lived in Bay Ridge first.
Okay.
I lived right in the heart of mafia dons. You know who lives in that house? And I would dread my walk from the subway all the way down to. We lived right under the Verrazano Bridge, like whatever that I forget a park. It was some road right there, and I was sharing an apartment with this girl whose dad was a cop and left a .38 in the front drawer for us
just
to
in
use.
case. Just in case. Yeah, that's great.
But I would get off the subway, and the Italian kids would go, hey, Blondie, hey, you with your hair. What neighborhood you from? And I would just look down like, I'm not from here. Yeah, we know you're not from here. I was just like, wow, I've walked into a stereotypical situation. I can't believe
crazy.
I'm getting. Because I had heard about this in Boston, like West Bridgewater and Brockton is
like South Boston.
It's south, but it's far enough into the burbs where you didn't really have that. Right,
okay.
But we'd hear the stories of the Italians and the Irish, and I'm Irish,
right.
And if you don't wear anything green into the Italian neighborhoods, and vice versa,
sure,
because all shit's
don't wear orange into the Irish neighborhood.
And I had frankly stopped believing in that because it had never happened to me, but now here I am. Hey, and I, of course, would say my hair isn't blonde, man. It's brown. Oh, hey, it's not. You hear what he said?
See, I would only get in Manhattan. I was there in the 90s, but I get tortured by the Lubavitchers, by the Schneerson Winnebago.
What is that?
So the
Jewish.
are like, they're super crazy Orthodox Jews that try and get people like me to be a better Jew. And so they'll grab you. I actually got, like, in Prague, my friend Dylan and I got, like, kidnapped, essentially. These guys walked up to us like, hey, do you two happen to be Jewish? Like, yes. Have you said the Shema today? It's like,
Jesus.
Not today. And they grab us by our arms, throw us in a van. They make us rap tefillin and start, davening and say the Shema. But so they knew about me in New York, and I would get like chased around by the Schneerson Winnebago. It was fucking crazy.
Anyway,
the craziest thing.
There you go.
Yeah.
We welcome you to Spike's Car Radio and our stories of getting beaten on in
New York. Yeah.
In New York when we lived there. And it's good to be with you all. We're all feeling pretty good. Let's do an ad real quick.
Yeah.
I promised Bill, we have 3 sponsors today, the Malibu Kitchen, TLG Auto, and Manscaping, of course.
Let's favorite.
Start. You do like Manscaping?
Well, I mean, the one I need the most.
Yes.
Actually, I probably need TLG the most, but that's a different story.
It is.
Yeah.
Let's do Manscaping then.
Oh, yeah.
Mirror, mirror on the wall, what's the best brand for my balls? I didn't write that. I did not write that.
You totally, right there in this chair, at this computer.
Look, read the copy.
No.
Manscaped, of course. Hold up, is that a nose pube? I didn't write any of this, but I support it. Good thing
100%.
Our partners at Manscaped are here to ensure you're taking care of your manhood and your nose hairs with their new Performance Package. And now they want me to tell about my nose hair experience. All I'm going to tell you is I love the Manscaped clippers so much that I realized these guys hadn't sent me their nose hair clipper, and it's on its way. And it's for me, that's like Christmas. I'm so excited to get this thing because the clippers I've used in the past in my nose hurt me they bite.
Yeah, you get a little cut.
Yeah, and these new Manscaped things that they've got with this plastic blade that's sharp but doesn't bite, it just makes your life great. And you want it. Manscaped's Performance Package is the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. Included is the new package is the Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, which is waterproof and uses a 9,000 RPM, same as a GT3, motor-powered 360-degree rotary dual-blade system. This nose and hair ear trimmer provides proprietary skin-safe technology. This shit actually works. This is one of the few things that we advertise that work. That skin-safe technology is worth millions of dollars because you don't get bit anymore in your balls or in your nose or anywhere else. Look, 79% of partners polled admitted that long nose hair is a major turnoff. Why not use the best tools for the job here? This bundle includes
job hair.
I know. I thought that was one of their play words. The bundle includes the Lawnmower 3.0 trimmer, the best trimmer on the market for your balls, butt, and body, the Crop Reviver ball toner. Get the Performance Package, and you're going to get 2 free gifts, the Manscaped Boxers and the Shed Travel Bag. I have both, and I use both. The Performance Package is the best value that Manscaped...
Bag?
Yeah, it's great.
I mean, where are you going on trips that you need...
I go on these car things, but you know what happens to travel bags? You get toothpaste on the outside of them, and then you can never fix it.
Yeah.
And so I go through quite a bit of those, and now I'm on to the one that says the word balls on the side.
I'm just thinking whose ball hair grows so fast that you've got to trim on the road. But yes. I can see maybe that affects you.
I don't know. But to me, the clippers are worth their weight in gold. I really have not, and as I've said before, I trust them so much, I use them on my dog's penis. And I'm not lying.
I've heard that before, and it's still funny. That's a good line.
You can get 20% off and free shipping with the code SPIKE911. That's my name and my favorite car at manscaped.com. 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use SPIKE911. What are you waiting for? Go whack your weeds. Make sure your balls look great for the holiday season. See, now that I changed. It says look great during the process. No, for the holidays. Things are getting better. Groom your butt, your balls, everything else. Wow. And it gets harder when you get older because you lose the hair on top of your head.
You get more ear hair. That's the real issue.
Ear hair. Yeah, I remember we were talking about this on Seinfeld. And George was like, the character, well, how do I know when to trim my ear hair? It's like when you hear a soft rustling of leaves. I think it was Jerry asking him. Because when you touch your ear and you hear...
it's the worst.
Then you know.
Ear hair's the worst. Any other hair I can kind of stomach, but ear hair is it's not a good look.
I'm here with Jonny Lieberman.
Hello.
And we're... how did you celebrate Saturday night? It feels like the world was celebrating Saturday night.
So if you live on another planet, Trump was unelected. He's now the impeached, two-time popular vote loser, one-term American president, the only two-time popular vote loser.
It felt good.
It felt great.
It felt like the world, suddenly there was some justice in the world.
Yeah, I know you're not a drinker, but I'm a drinker. So I pulled out a bottle of 22-year-old bourbon from my favorite brewery, or distillery, Willet. It was barrel number 324, and we killed that bottle dead. It was 135 proof, so 67.5% alcohol.
Wow.
And I went to my friend's backyard, and we celebrated, and I slept till noon the next day.
Wow.
And since I've had a child, I don't think I've slept past 7 ever. So
wow, that's insane.
It was a big happy night.
I had Bill. I don't like Donald Trump. I've never liked him in television, right? It predates him as a politician. I've known about this guy for a very long time, and he's just a despicable human being that I've not liked. So when he became elected president, I was so angry about it just because I know how he treats people in the entertainment industry. It was not good.
Right,
it just wasn't a good situation. So I said to Bill, when this is over, Bill at the Malibu Kitchen, I want you to bake me one of your red velvet cakes. Mm-hmm. And honestly, I thought that cake was coming about 2 weeks into Trump's presidency.
Well, there was a lot of
because of the scandal that kept coming, but nothing ever came of the scandals, and the guy lasts 4 years. And, say what you want, but somehow he was able to make it through 4 years of some of the most incredible scandals I've ever seen ever.
Yeah.
Thanks to the Republican Senate, but still made it 4 years. 4 years longer than I thought he would. Got that going for him.
Yeah.
So I had Bill, I went there Friday when the writing was on the wall, but Bill was still upset. He didn't, he was still fearful that this was not going to happen.
Yeah.
So I said, I can't have you bake that into my cake. So Saturday, he baked us the giant red velvet cake.
Nice.
And we brought that home, and we watched Biden's speech, and we ate the cake, and it was delightful.
That's great.
He asked me to remind everybody listening that the Malibu Kitchen and Gourmet Country Market has a Thanksgiving menu. Now, this is important because we're all still dealing with this virus, even though there's some encouraging vaccination news. We're going to be dealing with it for another year or so, maybe. And you can call Bill at the Malibu Kitchen. He's going to make you the entire turkey Thanksgiving dinner. I've done this before. It's awesome. You just tell him what you want, and then Thanksgiving or the day before you pick it up, turkey, mashed potatoes, trimmings, the whole deal is available at Bill awesome. At the Malibu Kitchen. Bill, for those of you guys in LA, the Malibu Kitchen Gourmet Country Market is in the Malibu Country Mart. His phone number is 310-456-7845. 310-456-7845. They want you to put your orders in no later than Sunday, November 22. So you got to get your order in no later than Sunday, November 22. If you're in LA and your wife doesn't want to cook, you don't want to cook, just call Bill up. It's awesome. Let me show you some of the things he's got here. It's all great, by the way. And by the way, if you have any voter fraud complaints, also use that number, 310-456-7845. And remind Bill when you talk to him, tell him to smile more and to be happy more. Here are the things you have to get. Get the turkey, get the gravy, but don't forget the pies. He's got the stuffing, his stuffing is beyond anything that I've ever had before.
What's the pie? Let's get back to pie. That's
okay,
let's
get to the pies and then we'll get off this. Deep dish pumpkin pie.
Ooh.
Incredible. I got one of each last year.
Okay.
And there were 4 of us in our family, so do the math. Harvest berry crumb, which is blueberry, raspberry, strawberry. It's also the Malibu Pie Festival grand prize winning pie, and apple crumble and apple dome. They're all amazing.
I think I can do 2 of those apples and the pumpkin. That sounds really
good. Look, it's worth it for the stuffing alone. But you go, it's one of those things where you show up Saturday, you get to hang out in Malibu, look at cars, you pick up this meal, you just heat it up, and it's perfection. It's worth, and then you don't have to do.
And then
the
you
cooking.
Get pie. It was really how I'm thinking about it. You get the pie, so that's.
And I don't want to do the deep fat fried turkey catch fire thing anymore.
Yeah.
Anyway, Bill, we love
fun.
you. Go help Bill. He's managed to stay open through fires in Malibu. He served the firefighters.
Probably a mudslider too.
He's managed to stay open during this pandemic and serves the police out there, the firemen, all of us. He helps us with our car shows. He saves us spots.
He yelled at me a couple months ago.
He yells at Jonny Lieberman, who deserves it. He gets along with Zuckerman, though. It's weird.
He got my order wrong, and I kind of said like, "Hey, where's the third sandwich I paid for?" And he yelled at me. Good.
Good. No, he yelled at me 2 weeks ago, too.
Yeah, see?
So there you go. Yeah. That's just part of the fun. He's the deli Nazi, as you know. Anyway, Johnny, let's talk cars and motorcycles. You want to start? Let's start with motorcycles. Because
I don't even know what a motorcycle is, so this is all you. I'll just drink some iced tea.
Well, we can go with cars first.
No. If we're going to do motorcycles, get it out of the way. And then, it'll be a better show.
I forget how much you hate motorcycles.
I just have no interest. I mean, you might as well talk about like boats.
All right. Well, I went to Royal Enfield, called me up and said, "Do you want to come and learn how to flat track motorcycle race?"
No, flat tracking. There was a band called Zeke that had an album, Flat Tracker. That's my contribution. Go ahead.
Well, I would never have said yes to this. Because, at my age, what do I want to go around an oval sliding? I don't know that you know this about me, but I like traction. I don't like sliding.
Right.
I like grip. Yep. I don't like drift.
Got it.
But I thought, why don't I give this a shot? Primarily because the fella who's been taking care of my motorcycle, my 66, is a flat track legend, Sonny Nutter, who's raced with McQueen and that whole crew, and was a champion from the 50s and 60s.
Yeah.
I've always been kind of interested in this upright sliding thing. So I drove down to Murrieta, down to this place called Blackmore Ranch.
Okay.
which was, beautiful place down outside of San Diego and near Glamis, maybe.
Yep.
I don't even know where I'm going. Just
Glamis.
another beautiful part
sand
of
dunes.
California.
Yeah.
And they had this big oval with all of these Royal Enfield bikes out there, and this racing champion, Jonny Lewis, flat track veteran.
No relation. Go ahead.
To Jerry Lewis, you mean?
No, to Jonny Lieberman.
Oh.
I'm vamping here. Come on.
Here's what they wrote about him. 2020 Royal Enfield listed to help a flat track veteran, Jonny Lewis, to develop the Royal Enfield Twins FT. Lewis raced for a variety of manufacturers in American Flat Track and Royal Enfield. This guy's qualified, is the short way of saying it. And he runs the Royal Enfield Slide School, presented by Moto Anatomy, which I think is just Jonny Lewis's Instagram feed. And it's a flat track training program aimed at developing proficient flat track skills for riders of nearly any ability. They're already sold. I mean, this is hilarious. One of these things, like, first of all, he didn't know it exists, right? Flat track race school.
I assumed it did. I never.
Secondly,
Yeah, go ahead.
they're already booked up. Like, if you want to do this,
so
you're looking at 2021.
For the people listening that are into cars, what I will say is,
yes, we have a lot of motorcycle fans.
You have a lot more car fans. The thing about drifting is, and I'm not a huge drifter, but I worked with Jethro Bovingdon for years. That's all he cares about is drifting. What you do learn from drifting, which is good, is throttle management. You actually learn how to apply a throttle in a non-stabby on-off
Correct.
way. Yeah, so that actually is very cool.
Except that's not what you're doing with flat track racing.
I know nothing about motorcycles.
So that's the first thing that's thrown out the window. Okay,
I tried.
So I showed up down to this place, and they gave us a little speech. It's you've done these things more than I have, but you anytime you have this challenge thing that a company has set up, there's a half an hour meeting about what we're going to do, and it's kind of
follow the rules,
and it's a little scary, right?
Yeah,
I get a little nervous, right? The first thing they had us do is you're putting on all of this armor and these boots and all of this stuff. And Jonny starts telling us about himself and how this works, and there's the track and how you're going to go around the track in the beginning, and we're going to be doing this for 8 hours. 4 guys on bikes out, and actually 4 women too. There were a bunch of women there learning how to race. Okay. Really cool.
Yeah.
And I start to get like a little panicky about it because they say this is what he's like. He goes, "Look, in the straightaway, you're full throttle. As you hit the turn, you're off throttle." And he goes, "I try to make this point with some guys by having them take their hand off the throttle, and then you're putting your ass cheek, the crack of your ass, on the right side of the seat. Okay. That's how you sit." Okay,
makes sense, I guess. I go ahead.
Instead of sitting on a motorcycle straight on, you're sitting on your ass crack with an arm up and your left arm pointed down. And you're making yourself slide. So you're flying into a turn, you come off the throttle 100%, you slide, and about halfway through, you slowly start to pull on again.
Yeah, that's throttle
around.
management. That's,
It's not modulation, though, where you're modulating the skid. It's starting a skid, and most of that, when I watched Jonny doing it, the only guy who could really do it for real.
Sure.
He was doing it with steering and front-end steering. But he goes, "Look, if you come in too hot, you come in too slow, you're going to go over this way or you're going to go down that way." Right. And that's where I'm like, look, I don't want to crash.
Right.
I'm 56.
Right.
I don't really feel like I got nothing to prove.
Right.
But it was so much fun.
Did you slide?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I didn't fall. No, I did the slide. I made it through the school. It was great.
Oh, great. Okay.
I really, it left me, and I was telling Jonny about this the next day. I was like, I'm kind of addicted because it's like any other. It's any other racing where you go there, you're kind of disappointed in your first performance, and then you come home and you think about it and go, I could do that better, right? And it was, it was just a gorgeous sunny day, and Enfield just great sandwiches, great bikes, great crowd, and I'm just grateful not to be here working, doing a real job.
Right.
But I just wanted to
dislocate your neck. It was also
I could have, but I didn't, and I just want to thank them. I encourage you guys to try that if you're looking for a different kind of racing to do. That's a little more challenge. Like I don't think I want to go on a high speed track out at Willow on one of those bikes. But the same token, I want to go on a motocross. I don't want to do that, right? I would do some enduro riding, but I'm not going to do that.
Motocross is like, that's for 15-year-olds.
Right.
Yeah.
This was great. I felt like I was at a little above my comfort level, and it was fun, and it was manageable. If you knew how to keep your eye line and you were comfortable with the back end of a bike constantly sliding.
Sure.
It's super fun.
And do they grease the track or anything like that?
They do. They water it down.
It's water. Okay. Yeah,
they water it and then they rake it.
Right.
And then we would go around maybe for about 45 minutes and they'd water and rake again.
Because I've found, it's funny with drifting. So, like, for some reason, like, the YouTube generation thinks that if you're really good at drifting, then you're a good driver.
Correct.
You are a good driver, but you can also be a good driver and not know how to drift. But I found that, like, this is going to sound pretentious, but I'm the best snow drifter. I can't drift on dry pavement at all. I'm terrible. I'm horrible. But you put me on snow, gravel, an oiled surface, like they have, like at the Porsche's Experience Center, they have like a slick track.
Yeah.
I'm really good at that. So anything that's not like in real time, because like snow, sand, grease is all slow.
Right.
So I'm a really good slow drifter. I'm a terrible fast drifter. I have no idea where I'm going with this, but I'm just trying to get off motorcycles.
What are you driving right now?
Oh, that's our long-term Mercedes-Benz GLE 450. It's got the bouncy bounce mode. Have you seen bouncy bounce mode?
I have not.
Oh,
but
after
wait.
this, we're going to bounce it. You're going to like it. Yeah, it bounces up and down.
When you say long-term, I've always been fascinated by that because I remember seeing that as a kid. Like Car and Driver had a car for a year.
Yeah.
How long does Motor Trend get them?
This one I think is about 12 months, although with the pandemic, it might be considerably longer just because things were just slow and weird.
And what are the rules of that loaner?
There's no rules. Here's what we do with them is we write like, let's say, an introduction. So, okay, here's the car. Here's how it's optioned. This one we got the straight six with a lot of power. We didn't get the V8. Should have got the V8, but we didn't. It's got the E active body control, so it can bounce up and down, and also pretty good ride quality. This is the paint, blah, 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 blah. And then you do updates. So one, I remember, I took the family during the beginning of the pandemic to Arizona-Utah border, and we went to like a different national park every day. Just talked about it as a road trip vehicle. The last one I wrote about is how I've sort of like, without ever thinking it was good looking, just having looked at it for 6 months or 8 months or whatever, like it's actually a really good looking SUV. So we'll write a series of updates probably over the course of the year, like 8 updates, and then there'll be a conclusion, or I forget what we actually call it, but like a verdict. We call it the verdict.
Right,
Here's how it was, and we'll report on maintenance. So for instance, tomorrow I think something's wrong with the rear alignment. So I'm going to take it in and get it aligned. So I'll talk about that.
Will they pay for that, or do you have to pay for
I
that?
think that depends how bad it is. So I'm going to say under 1,000, we'll totally pay for it. Over 1,000, we'll say, hey, Mercedes, your car's broken.
So Motor Trend would cover it, though.
Yeah.
Where's Motor Trend based?
We're in El Segundo.
Oh, you are?
El Segundo, right by the airport. Yeah.
There's an office down there.
There is, although, I don't really work for Motor. I do. I'm a consultant, technically, to Motor Trend. So, but I can expense things if I need to, and so. But it's got 15,000 miles on it, so it needs like full maintenance. Because modern cars are weird. It used to be every 3,000 miles you change your oil, and this one I waited for like a note to pop up. It's like, now I need service.
Right.
So it was right around 15,000 mials. So
how many of those little service reminders are just timers going off, or versus the car actually needing service?
I have no idea. I don't know. I don't know stuff like that. I don't know.
Started ignoring them.
Yeah,
and I bring stuff in whenever I want because and it's been a pretty at least on my lease. Right.
Well, see, that's a great thing about a lease. How bad's it going to get?
Right. I don't ever bring it in until 3 years later.
Right.
And so for a Land Rover, like a Range Rover Sport, I know that about 2 years in, I'm going to need brakes. I'm going to need brake pads or some sort of brake work, and that's about it. And usually at that point, I'm like, go ahead and do whatever else you need to do. But I'm not. Since I suspect a lot of that stuff is just timers going off,
right?
My car doesn't really need service.
I think a lot with the oil, if you look now, because you can't, most cars don't even have dipsticks anymore, so there's like a percentage. I'm not sure if it's like, I don't know if it's a timer. I don't know if it's actually analyzing the oil or something like that. I'm pretty good with oil. Like I kind of know enough about how engines work that if you do have bad broken down oil, like you're gonna get mechanical problems. But I don't know about the other stuff. I'm just not. I know what you mean. It's weird with the timers. So
yeah.
But again, with the lease, it's like, you do a 3-year lease. You're going to bring the car in once, twice.
I'm not saying I disregard every one. It's just there are a bunch, like, it's time for your scheduled maintenance.
Right.
And I'll look at the mileage. It has to be this long or this, and I'm not even close to the mileage. And I'm just like, come on.
See, we're high mileage people. Like, so, like, we had an Audi for 3 years. I got it was like right up to the thing, like 36,000 miles or whatever.
So how many of these year-long loaners do you have?
A MotorTrend currently, I don't know. Probably like a dozen-ish or something like that. Yeah.
And shared by how many people?
Well, we used to it was like, you just grab the key. The way it kind of works now is I'm responsible for every update for this car. So it's like my quote-unquote long-termer for the year. But for instance, like one of our photographers, he's going up to Seattle for 2 weeks around Christmas time. He's like, could I take your car? Because it's got massaging seats and hydraulic suspension. It's a badass road trip car. So I'm like, yeah, sure. I'll get something else.
How are these people not giving me one of these long-term loaners?
I don't know. Jethro has one.
I don't understand.
Yeah, Jethro has one. Yeah, I mean,
let me answer my own question.
Yeah.
There are very few that I would accept as long-term.
Really?
Yes.
Well, why is that?
Well, because my only pleasure in life, maybe my
Besides
children and my
cigars,
family and cigars, and you and Zuckerman and this.
Me and Zuckerman.
And cake. I like the podcast because it's an hour a week that I get to talk to everybody and nobody messes with it. My only other pleasure is the drive.
Yeah.
And if I'm in something that might psychically ruin me.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Like I'm looking at that Mercedes that has bouncy mode.
It does have
I like the
bouncy
Mercedes brand.
Yeah.
But I think that could murder my soul.
No.
And therefore kill my creativity.
It's actually not that bad. It's a pretty nice car. I mean, it's
beautiful. It's just a little too tame for me.
It is. Look, would I ever buy this? Probably not.
By the way, I'm just amping up the manufacturers now. So do you see what I'm doing?
So
now
Bentley's
they're going to
hey,
maybe.
Spike, you remember that Continental?
Now, if they did that.
Yeah.
Well, that's an interesting question. Could I become a long-term Bentley guy?
Long-term Bentley's tough.
Long-term
Bentley's tough.
I love the Continental.
I had a long-term Cadillac CTS-V wagon with a manual.
Oh, that's cool. That's great.
Was the greatest.
Yeah.
That and a couple of people know this story, but the best part was like, I took the car to Germany. I conned Cadillac into shipping it to Germany. We were going to try and set the station wagon record on the Nürburgring.
Yep.
And didn't do it. Got close, but didn't do it. Left the car in Germany, and then years later, I'm like, Cadillac. I'd like to buy that. I'd like to buy this. And they're like, yeah, okay, cool. It's one of our. We still have it. Then they tell me, it died in a flood. There was a flood in Detroit, and like GM lost some cars. They're like, your car died in the flood. Turned out it was actually the car and driver long-term CTS-V wagon that died in the flood. Mine actually wound up in San Diego. This Australian dude bought it who got in touch with me. And he's like, I think I have your car. And I go, okay, if you pull off like the fuse panel cover, I actually signed it with a Sharpie, like right on this big white computer thing.
Why did you sign it?
Just if I ever in the future.
Oh, just to know.
Just if someone's like, I have your old car. I don't remember the VIN,
Right.
So I knew where I signed it. It was in a very obscure location. So boom, he sent me a picture of my signature. I'm like, that's my freaking car.
Oh, wow.
And I drove it, and I was going to make him an offer, and then he, bless his heart, as they say in the South, he messed it up. That said, I think I could get Cadillac to like restore it for me. But I made him an offer, and he turned it down. So, yeah, it was because the problem is they were down a little bit in price. Now they're $60,000. I offered him, I think, 40. And anyways, one day I'll get it back.
If you need your car fixed, let's do an ad.
Yeah.
TLG Auto with Marco Gerasi is our independent Porsche service and restoration shop located in North Hollywood, California. Family owned and operated since 1978, now in its second generation. Known as the air-cooled Porsche specialist, but we also service, and they also service and maintain Porsche cars up to and including the 992. Marco has...
That's the new one.
And I'm not just selling them. Marco has worked on our cars. He worked on the Zuckerman Monte Carlo car, the 73 RS, and executed a set of notes that I generated. And I'm very discerning, as you know. They provide personalizing service that is tailored to your clients' and car's needs. The most important thing, they will arrange transportation of the car to and from your home or storage to TLG. Now that saves your life.
Is the 73 that orange? RS?
That was the Tangerine car.
Yeah,
that's the Ferriston, Seinfeld, Sam Cabiglio.
That's the one you're talking about?
No, this was the Monte Carlo rally car that was sold.
Oh, yes, I've seen that. Okay.
That Zuckerman bought on a whim years ago, left in his hangar. I drove it and went, you're a horrible human for not giving this car what it needs.
Oh, this is the one that Marco was talking about where it took him like months to get the seat right, but he got the seat.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, I know
it wasn't. It didn't take him months. It took us months to find
the seat rails
the real
or something.
RSR seats is what we were looking for.
But there was some crazy like seat rail trauma.
Oh, and then the seat rail, but but he did it. He found it, and that's why we're allowing him to advertise on our show. WTLGauto.com. Just go to their website, www.tlgauto.com, or you can send them an email there. You can also go to Instagram, TLG_auto, TLG_auto. People always ask us, where do you get your Porsches fixed in LA? TLG Auto North Hollywood. Say hi, follow him on Instagram. That car was really fun because it was the puzzle of the Monte Carlo car. When I drove it and I sat in it was, here's a thing that's stickered up and looks like a race car and has some race history, yet doesn't feel, when you turn it on, doesn't sound and feel like a race car. It was a converted RS Touring that was used in a Monte Carlo rally, but they weren't able to get a lightweight, so the original owner converted it to lightweight. And then over the years, somebody had kind of made it just like a normal... It was like it had one foot in both worlds.
Right.
One foot in
neither
touring,
fish nor fowl.
Right.
Yeah.
So I talked Zuckerman into putting a nice, big, fat, loud rally exhaust on it.
Nice.
And doing a little work with the suspension and then fixing some of the things inside. The seats were just crap. They were repros, and we put in the originals. And just as we finished
I remember
somebody bought it.
We had cigars with Marco. He was going on about how bad the seats were. That was like the one thing. I'm like, well, the engine. He's like, no, the seats are so bad. And like,
no, they were terrible.
Yeah.
They were absolutely terrible.
So what's the story of the Tangerine car? Because that's the most beautiful 911.
Yeah, that's the greatest
on the planet.
Okay, so that car
lives in Zuckerman's hangar, and
first comes on my radar in the final season of Seinfeld, when Jerry Seinfeld is just beginning his Porsche collection. And he tells me, I bought a 73 911 RS Touring. Let's take it for a drive. And I said, what do you mean? What is that? And he goes, come check it out. And we look at this car. I just had no idea.
Yeah.
I knew a little bit about Porsche and the rest of it, but I'm a comedy writer. I'm not really a car guy. I'm just beginning to kind of understand the world of Porsche, and Seinfeld is just beginning to kick it into high gear. So we hop in this old car. It's got the weird ducktail on the back, and I said, well, why are you buying old stuff? I don't understand. Why not just get a new Porsche? Right? That's where I was. And he goes, watch.
Yeah.
And we left CBS Radford Studios and went up Laurel Canyon and then jammed on the on-ramp of the 101 right there. And he goes, watch this. And he goes, Mom! And it had all these titanium parts in the engine. Super lightweight. Lots of blue smoke coming out the back. And he goes, can you believe how fast that is? And I'm like, it's not that fast, Jerry. This is back when I wasn't trying to upset my bosses who liked cars. Like Like when David Letterman proudly said, look, I've got this 250 short wheelbase. It's yellow. I go, you bought a yellow car? Like I didn't know.
Wow.
I didn't know how to
At least you're honest about it. That's
I didn't know how to say the right thing. And sometimes I still don't.
Right. That's okay.
That's
okay. But
I mean, so Jerry got on this thing, and he's like, "This is great." And I'm like, "Yeah," and I didn't understand it, and I was at the point in my love of Porsche, and it's so interesting that tails or any sort of wing was just stupid.
Okay.
It didn't. Okay. I don't care if it has a function. It just looks dumb, and it looks like you're trying too hard.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
I've sensed completely.
Even that nice little ducktail.
Huh?
Even that beautiful little ducktail on that
I just
car.
thought, what? That's so arrogant.
That's so weird.
I'm so nuts at that point. I don't understand anything.
Yeah,
so,
I like
admitting
you being honest. Most people would never admit what you're admitting right now.
Well, it's a trajectory I see people on all the time. I mean, I help people with cars all the time, as you do, and you'll see them. They want their first Porsche. It's always something new, and it's always the Targa because it looks.
Yeah.
And and I go, and I know that, and then it's got to be silver, but I probably want it black or that gray, right?
Right.
That's where I started. I totally get it, and then eventually you're wearing golf pants.
So funny you say that because I was last night talking to a friend, and he's like, all those cars you see with wings on them?
Exactly.
Do they actually do anything?
Yeah.
I'm like, well, they actually if it's a Honda Accord, no. But if it's like a Porsche GT3, like, it actually does do something.
Yeah, we had a GT3 at that motoring club in New York, whatever that place is called.
Oh, yeah.
For some car matchmaker event with advertising people, and I was talking to these people, mostly ladies, and they were like, ew, the wing. What is it? And
that makes me like wings more. Yeah,
it was a GT3 RS. And I'm like, no, it has a function. It keeps the ass on the ground over 160. Like, oh, it's such a show-offy thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I understand. Anyway, Jerry has this car for the longest time.
It's so gorgeous. I'll just repeat this for
beautiful.
people that haven't seen it. Yeah, it's so good.
Tangerine. Yeah. The ducktail turns out to be an RSR ducktail. And then one day, right around this time, and I don't remember what year, but early 2000s, I'm chasing down a Ferrari Dino.
Okay.
For my, I tell Sam Cabilio, who buys cars for Jerry and was, helping me out too. I go, if you ever come across a Ferrari Dino, this doesn't happen much anymore, but
it used to.
All original, everything, original paint, and no, it's got to have no miles. What's no miles? It's got to be at least under 9,000 miles.
Oh, jeez.
And so for years, he was always looking. He calls me one day and he goes, Spike, I was looking at something somewhere. And I said, what's under the tarp? And he opens the tarp. It's a yellow Dino with 6,000 yellow with 6,000 original miles. I took a picture of it after I bought it and sent it to Dave. I go, now I get it.
Now
I'm sorry
I have a yellow Ferrari too. Yeah,
Never heard back from him. But he got me back when I showed him my 911, which I had painted burgundy. This old 74, because it was sepia brown. It was a shit box, and I had Earl Scheib painted burgundy just for the fun of it. And he goes, really, burgundy, Spike? You like that color? And then walked away. So he got me back. Anyway, the day I was taking delivery of that Ferrari, Jerry goes, I'm getting rid of the 73.
Now, why would he get rid of that car?
I don't recall. It was part of his to alleviate pressure here and add something new.
Right.
It's
just like too many cars, not enough parking spots type thing.
Yeah, but he didn't have that many cars, right? He was curating a much smaller collection, but he curates, which is important to a collection.
No. Yeah,
and at the time, stuff was around and available, and it wasn't such a big deal. But he was selling it. Here's what offended me about it. He goes, I'm giving it to Barrett Jackson.
Oh, yeah.
And I just went, that's the wrong place.
That's
and I'm like,
totally
don't do
the
it.
Wrong place. Yeah,
and he said, well, why? I go, that's a very valuable. And now, years later, I understood what the car was. And I'm like, I've never seen another Tangerine RS. The car is amazing. Just keep it. You'll be sorry that you sold it. And I don't want to have to buy it. He goes, do you want to buy it? I go, I don't. I just bought something. I just bought something.
Right. I got a Dino. Yeah.
And he goes, well, I'm gonna get rid of it. And I said, God damn it. I'm like, all right, what do you want for it? And he gave me a number, and it was, a high number at the time, but today you would just laugh. I think it was $105,000.
Oh, come on.
105,
really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I had just bought the Dino for 110.
Wow. Both those, for kids playing along at home, they're worth more than that now.
The Dino was all original everything. It had been repainted once, but still it was a pure preservation deal. Jerry's car needed an engine rebuild. It was set up for racing, but at that price. And I bought the cars on the same day.
Yeah. Wow.
So that car I had owned for 12 years at least, and for the first 3 years I would drive it around Hollywood, and blue smoke would be coming out the back, and people would pull up next to me and go, "Junk that piece of crap!" Oh, and I'd laugh, and then eventually I had that addressed. I realized it needed with the way the engine had been built. It was set up for racing, which meant 500 hours, and that was it.
Right. And so it was
and
just
Jerry had already
letting oil 10,000 in everywhere. Yeah,
all over the place. And we rebuilt the engine, and it was such a beautiful car.
It's such. I mean, my point is, I see obviously a lot of cars. I see a lot of Porsches. I see a lot of really good Porsches.
Right.
And that thing, it stopped me dead in my tracks.
Okay, so here's the evolution of it, right?
Yeah.
I sorted a lot of it. We used to have this genius body guy and painter who noticed that the ducktail, which is fiberglass, was an RSR ducktail, and it was broken inside. He took it apart. He fixed it. I straightened out the back end with him, the panels. We did the engine. I redid the radio. I did a lot of stuff to it, and I got it to where I was happy with it. I had it for about 12 years, and then was buying a house. Zuckerman was someone I had just met at that point.
And he swoops in.
No, he didn't swoop in. And he was driving a yellow Corvette and a yellow E-Type, and I was like, dude, I know where you're at. You're at the beginning of this collection, and you got to drive these Porsches. And he had bought this Green Goblin crappy Porsche, and I said, buy my RS. I need some money for a down payment. I mean, for the I think we were doing a renovation on the house.
Okay,
I go, buy this car.
Yeah.
And I talked him into buying it. And I go, that way it'll be around. He didn't know Jerry at the time, but I was like, it would be fun for me to have that in your hands. I like you. We're good friends. It's in L.A. here, and if I ever want it back, I know where it is, or Jerry wants it back. Right. Jerry didn't want it back. And then Zuckerman bought it. And then Zuckerman, after years of driving it, gave it to, I think, the guys down in... I don't think it was Will Hoyt. He gave it down to these other guys, Jeff Erickson, I think, down in Anaheim, who worked on that car and works on the racing engines for us. And he said, let's put it back to kind of proper RS specs. I had put the engine up to 2.9 liters. I mean, 2.9 liters, right? 2.7, 2.9.
You could do either. I mean, I
think I put it up to 2.9.
Yeah.
And 2.7 is stock.
Is the right one. Yeah.
And Zuckerman brought it back to exactly what it was and did the final turns. It was really a good list of notes that he generated. And I drove the car after that. Jerry drove the car, and our minds were blown. Like, both of us were like, had the car driven like that.
Right. Never would have sold.
It was just perfection. Jeff Erickson and Zuckerman nailed it.
So who owns it now?
Now Zuckerman owns it.
He bought it back.
No, Zuckerman has always had it.
Oh, so I thought you meant he sold it to this Erickson
So here's
character.
The story. Here's where it goes back to Sam, who helps Jerry with his cars and his collection. Sam owned the car years before.
Before Jerry
bought it. It was on the cover of Pano, and it was judged the best at a show. So Sam,
it's just such a gorgeous thing.
Owned it. Jerry owned it. Jerry to me, I to Zuckerman.
Right.
And we have a promise between the four of us that car will always stay in our group.
Right.
Zuckerman almost sold it 3 months ago. He goes, I got an offer.
Oh, nice.
Should I do it? I'm like, no, don't.
Right.
And he goes, well, are you going to buy it? I go, no. And I called Jerry. He goes, Jerry going to buy it? Jerry's like, I'm not buying it, but you can't sell it. He'll be very happy that he kept that car.
Oh, it's such a good car.
Don't you think?
Such a good car.
Should we check in with him? Oh, God, there's a horrible picture of my wife's vagina that just came across.
I didn't think it was horrible. For the record.
Did you see that?
If Spike's wife is listening, I didn't think it was horrible.
It's a birthing, the screensaver of the birthing picture.
I will, it's nice to get closer. I feel closer to you now.
That was young Jack. You were just in the room. Does your wife do that? The pictures my wife took when these kids were born.
No, we have no pictures. I was in the room.
I did not take that picture, but someone did.
Who?
But every once in a while.
Hang on. If you weren't taking it, who's taking it?
She hired doulas and
we had
nurses
a doula.
and all sorts of things.
Our doula was busy like holding my wife's hand and screaming, push.
But I was there. I saw everything. I was cool with it. I thought it was amazing.
It was.
But so every once in a while, I'm up here with the kids, and it's car picture, entertainment, fun picture, and then a head coming out of a vagina.
My dad. I can't remember if it was just my sister, or if it was me and my sister, but like he took photos of everything. My dad was he loved cameras, right? And remember slideshows back when you actually had a slide projector? And so he would show us, like, I think it was, in my mind, it's just my sister. It's probably both of us. But we'd see the birth. And as you know, it's not something you show to kids.
I think my kids have seen it doing their homework up here.
Yeah. And I was just so, not traumatized, but just like, Dad, what were you thinking? That, I think it came up once, like, hey, do you want to take pictures of the birth? And I'm like, fuck that. Like, absolutely. Like,
it is
love
hard.
My kid, love my wife,
It is hard to understand the usage of that picture. Now that knowing that I mean,
it entertained me greatly.
Knowing that I have it, I don't know what I would do with it. Like, the kids love to see pictures of themselves when they're, 1 day old or 2 days old.
Right.
They're not going to want to see that.
Not.
No, I don't know who it's for.
But my dad had a whole. I mean, I have them somewhere in storage. I have like a slide tray of like. I think it's my sister. I hope it's my sister.
But can't you? I mean, for those thinking of starting a family, you can safely bypass that photograph, right?
I didn't do it with my son, and he crawled into bed and got on my chest this morning and slapped me in the face to wake me up. You know, it was great. It was great.
But the miracle of birth is a feeling. I remember how I felt in that delivery room and how amazing the feelings were. But I don't need the picture.
You don't need the picture. You know.
Should we call Zuckerman and harass him?
Well, we should tell him what he missed. We finally got nudity on the show. You know what I mean? Like after all these years.
Thank God my wife doesn't listen to the show.
Trust me, every time I do a podcast, I say that.
Yeah, there's 2 rings for Zuckerman. He will not be
2
happy.
rings? 2 bells?
3 rings.
No?
He's not going to pick up.
He's not great at picking up.
He will. Mondays are hard for him. The whole world hits him.
Right.
But the listeners want to hear from him.
Yeah, I mean, you got to have Zuckerman.
He'll call back in a minute. Let's see. Listen to Zuckerman's message, by the way. If you're a friend of Zuckerman, this is what happens when you call his phone.
This isn't his law one?
No, I don't know. This is his cell phone.
I just text him.
His greasy, dirty...
The wireless customer you are calling is not available. Please try again later. El cliente de servicio móvil al que llama no se encuentra disponible.
Wow.
Favor de intentar más tarde.
What the fuck?
Message 1, US01LV.
And then it hangs up on you.
That's Zuckerman. I've never heard that.
I don't want messages. I got enough stuff to check.
I got enough problems.
I got enough problems. But what if it's one of your clients, Zuckerman? Well, fuck them. I laugh at their tragedies anyways. It doesn't matter. I'd rather they sit in front of me and tell me what happened to them so I can laugh in their face. Oh, the machine took your leg muscles off? Tell me again. Show me the picture. I want to see that.
God, Zuckerman.
That's Zuckerman.
He's just coming out of his shell so good lately.
Yeah.
He's on fire.
He has.
It's really... I think was it the turning point?
Is.
Oh, is it him?
He calls right back.
Okay.
TV.
You piece of shit. We're podcasting right now. We thought we'd have you just come on for 2 seconds.
Did you already get that on?
What on?
This is it.
The name calling, the horrible name calling.
Oh, we've been doing that. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've been doing it, but you just missed a funny moment. We're actually up in my office, and the screensaver of my computer has photos on it, as you know, and a picture with my son Jack's head protruding from my wife at birth just was sailed by while Jonny Lieberman was turning red in his eyes.
By the way, not just turning red, like literally facing the screen.
I know it's supposed to be something that's a beautiful moment, but frankly, it's kind of disgusting.
Oh, here he is.
Childbirth really is disgusting. I saw it a couple times. I never want to see it again.
We were just having this conversation. A friend of mine described it as watching your favorite pub burn down.
Yeah, I actually no. That's
horrible. But that's accurate. What did you say, Zuckerman?
See, watching something burn down is preferable to seeing a live birth. Seeing a natural childbirth is really a horrifying fucking thing, and a cesarean is horrifying in a different way.
Yeah, that's just surgery. That's surgery.
I haven't seen that. I like the natural childbirth. That was great. I loved it. I loved every minute of it.
You loved it?
I really did. Yeah.
No, I don't.
I really wanted to. I wanted to see what this creature looked like that I've been having to take care of for 9 months. And
as always, I'm in between you two on this one.
When you see what happens to your lady as it's coming out, and all of the gross stuff, and the placenta.
I did not like the placenta. I'll go on record. That looked like a bad steak. That was not cool.
Looked like a liver.
I thought it looked like something from outer space.
Yeah. Aliens not into the placenta.
We're human, Zuckerman. Well, you're not, but we are.
But I was saying, Paul,
come out of an egg, frankly.
Paul, I was saying that we finally got nudity on the show, and you missed it.
I would rather emanate from a cloaca.
Cloaca. Cloaca.
Cloaca. Oh, a cloaca.
Yeah.
Would you please tell Lieberman, because I know Lieberman doesn't know what that is.
The birds have a cloaca that they do everything with.
Yeah, I'm well aware of the cloaca.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's an all-purpose. It's all-purpose.
And you would rather be
like Matt Barrett's safari car. It's an all-purpose utility.
Oh my! Well,
Wow.
there you go. Well, that's it. There's your moment of Zuckerman, everybody.
Moment of Zuckerman.
Everybody.
All right, goodbye. Goodbye. We're gonna hang up on you.
Bye, Paul.
He said you all suck.
Well, he's on message. He's on brand.
If we were doing a daily show, it would be a moment of Zuckerman. That's the perfect space of time to have for him.
Perfect amount.
Well, anyways, Johnny.
Yeah.
We've had a good time here.
We have.
We've had an hour.
We've broken ground.
We want to thank all of our sponsors, of course, Manscaped. Don't forget to use Spike 911 at manscaped.com to get those things you need and know that I use them. Don't forget to go to TLG Auto in North Hollywood to get your cars fixed. And don't forget, most importantly, to report your voting fraud to Bill at the Malibu Kitchen.
Did you call the number?
310-456-7845, 310-456-7845. And after you've reported your voting fraud, order your Thanksgiving pies and meals. He really is the best. Just get your orders in Sunday, by Sunday, November 22nd, 2020, by 2 p.m. And it's awesome. I promise you, I love all my sponsors, and they're great.
Did you call 888-670-1776 to report voting fraud?
No. Because I know how hard it is to lose, as we felt that 4 years ago.
Well,
and I know people are feeling crappy, and I don't want to rub it in.
I tried 12 times to call.
Oh, you did?
Well, I was letting my 3-year-old talk to them. I got him very excited because I said, you could tell them that you haven't seen any voter fraud. And he was very excited, but it was busy each time.
Look, I'll just say, I have nothing against Republicans when they're normal Republicans. I just don't like this Russian extremism, right?
Yeah, that's
and
the part I have a
like
hard time.
Americans, and I like what Biden had to say about no red states and blue states. And,
that's all good. I hate the racism and I hate the fascism.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
and I do, and I want people to come together. I'm tired of being angry at my friends in Florida, Georgia, or any other place.
Kentucky, my Kentucky friends and I are having a hard time communicating. Yeah.
It'd be fine with me if Facebook just went away. It would be fine with me.
That could be the actual
and then everybody
problem.
just got along. Because, I half my family on my wife's side are Trump supporters, and we love them.
That's tough.
But we love them. We talk to them.
It's tough, though. It's tough.
We just don't talk politics.
My
That's
father-in-law voted for Gary Johnson, and I've in Florida 4 years ago, and I've yet to let him live it down.
But I'm ready for time. Are you ready for time where just politics is boring?
No,
and we don't hear about it anymore.
I think maybe as a Jew, I had this existential horror with Trump.
Yes,
where it's
but he's gone.
He's gone. But I'm just saying, I had 4 years of my existence, my wife, my son, my family's existence is actually threatened by racist fascism.
Absolutely.
They always eventually come for the Jews. So I'm not ready yet. Maybe I'll get there. But
I'm not saying forgive that.
Yeah. It's the racism and the fascism that I can't take. Everything else.
Here, let me tell you something. One thing I know for sure, and then I'm going to let everybody go. I remember, here's the long and short of it is advertising works, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's a portion of those people who just believed everything that was being sold to them there. And when the next guy comes up and says everything's peace, love, and gumdrops and unity, they're all going to be preaching that.
I hope so. I hope so.
Yeah, because
let's have a better
the people in the
world.
United States are all good people. They're good people for the most part.
Yeah.
And then there's some shitty fucking racist people.
The racist one I have a problem with.
Yeah, but once they don't have their guy in the White House,
get back in there.
The guy with the most powerful bullhorn in the world, the president, right? That's the biggest platform in the world as far as getting across anything.
Right.
Like, we're going to worship Santa Claus, whatever you want to say.
Sure.
20% of people are going to go. They're going to do that the same way I was told when I started at 30 Rock. These people on TV can't say go kill somebody because there's a portion of this population that will do it.
Yeah.
It's not even political. They could say kill Jerry Lewis.
Right.
Someone would go.
Right.
There's a portion that, as long as they're getting the right message, we should all be fine.
I hope so, man. I hope so.
I hope so too.
Give me a week. Maybe I'll be more forgiving in a week. Give me a week.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe a month. I'm going to take a month. I'm going to take a month before I hand out forgiveness.
Most people, and the other thing is most people don't have their own fucking opinions about anything. They look to entertainment and television for something to say at a dinner. So that Facebook has been telling all sides,
Right.
here's some phrases.
We call
say
it-
this stuff.
We don't, obviously I'm not in the entertainment game the way you are, but in the car thing, my boss Angus, he calls it pub ammo. He's
Yeah,
like, you want
right.
to give people something to argue about at a bar.
Yeah.
So.
And with cars, it's absolutely true,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah,
So
we
it's
all kind of feed off each other, and you're one of those guys that actually makes the statements that people repeat.
Yeah, or they get mad about. But yes.
Right. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway.
You got a busy street here, man. It's crazy.
There's so much construction going on right now. This is just the daytime.
Because everyone's just home and like adding on. Fixing up.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
I guess that's what everybody's doing.
Our problem is my house is about twice as big as your office, so we got everything done in 3 months. There's nothing left to do. Yeah,
That's great.
Yeah. It was a tiny
a small
house.
home with a family is where it's at. Because then you're with everybody all the time.
I could use an office. I could use a big garage. But one day.
Well, we have plenty of office space, Johnny.
I know.
Nobody's getting together anymore.
I know, it's great.
Anyways, Jonny Lieberman, you can follow him on Instagram.
Yes. And I write stuff on MotorTrend, and that's about it.
All right, and you can follow me on Instagram as well. And send your complaints to Zuckerman about not being in the show. Now my gardener guys are going to back right into your
my
car.
truck.
Yeah, we better stop. All right, we'll see you next week on Spike's Car Radio.
Thanks for listening to Spike's Car Radio, brought to you by Hangar 56. Listen to new episodes every Wednesday, and be sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.